Hey Falcon Nation, putting a wrap on Falcon Football Media Day. Voice of the Falcons, Mike Rickert, here with the head ball coach, the Hall of Famer, the legend, Mark Duda. 30 stinking years you've been part of the program, 29 as head coach. How crazy does that seem to you?
Oh, it's been crazy. It goes so fast. I was doing a few interviews yesterday, and they said, what keeps you here? Well, the kids do, right? The love of football they have keeps you here. And I think we've gotten better and better and better, and the program's improved all the time, and the school makes it that way. I think it's been wonderful.
Right, and now you mentioned interviews yesterday, and we know you've played in the NFL, and you were on national TV, and you talked to John Madden on the bus. But again, we talk about this every year. Nothing tops talking to the voice of the Falcons.
I mean, you don't have a bus, baby, but you're better than Madden for sure. There's no doubt about that.
Well, that's all I needed to hear. We can wrap this up right now. We're good. Talk about camp this year. How was camp? How are the guys coming out of it? What are we looking at?
It was a physical camp. More so than usual, I think. Now that COVID's kind of waned a little bit, we had a little more time with them. They got better as the days went along, but there is a huge learning curve for them.
Right.
Coming from our place, it seems like there's a bigger curve every single year, but the young guys picked it up, and they've done a great job too.
The team strength has always kind of been the defense. It's kind of been like our calling card a little bit. So, how does the defensive troops, especially, the defensive line is your thing. How's the D line look? What guys we see
we're
there?
fast up front. Oduro and the Seiler. All those guys are really good football players, but we're deep. We're 9 deep, right? So we have 9 defensive linemen that can play. So we won't fatigue as quickly as other teams do. I think that's really important. Great in the back half now with Arrington and Boone and those guys back there. They're experienced guys, older guys. So I think we should hold up our end pretty well defensively.
Talk a little bit about Janasa too, because when we talked to him earlier, and I mentioned to him, it's time for him to remind everyone here in Northeast Pennsylvania the exact type of football player he not was, but still is. So how has he made that transition? What are you seeing out of Janasa?
Well, I think he's a Power 5 corner. I think he's going to end up playing at one of those schools that have 100,000 people around him. Great athletic ability. He played quarterback and so forth in high school. All best athletes play quarterback in high school. But he got here, and he's a great cover guy, physical kid too. And so I think that he's going to do nothing but great things here.
Right, and we know he made a quick change in the weight room and stuff too, so he's really committed on that. He's made a great transition with that and stuff too. Talk about your support staff, your assistant staff, Coach Pardini, Coach Reese, who was just standing around here a little bit, probably wanted to get on camera, but he didn't get me a shirt, so we're not talking to him today. But talk about, especially those two guys, your full two-time.
Well, we'll get you some shirts for sure. Those guys, like Coach Reese played here, has been with me for over 10 years. Coach Pardini, 10 years as well. So they know. I always say this all the time. They absolutely know their job better than I know their job. Yeah, for certain. There's no question.
Do they make your job easier, though?
Much easier. I mean, they're so good at what they do. Now Ray Dayton has come on board, another guy who just knows his job really, really well. Right. So that makes it easier for me to kind of get through it. So head coaches do a lot of non-football things. And so it allows us to kind of do those things too, but it's been great.
Looking at your schedule, kind of like a unique schedule, and kind of reminds me of like an NFL schedule, right? Where you're playing some East Coast rivals twice, home and away, just like, you'd see in the NFL with, say an AFC East team for sure. So what games, other than snow, because snow wraps up the season, what games are you looking forward to the most?
Well, I always look forward to military. Georgia Military has been a foe of ours for a long time, really great program, home and away.
Right.
And then also Monroe, home and away. Most teams in junior college do that. Right, so we don't realize, back east, we haven't done a lot of that stuff, but out in Kansas and those places, it's normal. In Arizona, It's always been normal. In Texas, they always do it that way. So for us, I think it'll be really interesting. The second game of that series, how people adjust the second time around, should be really, really interesting.
Okay. So when we started off the interview, 30 years, now counting the numerous guys you have in the league, not counting the amount of Division I, Division II scholarships that you've been a part of getting these guys. What has been your most memorable moment?
I think the biggest thing that's ever happened to me as far as this program is just to see the sheer number of kids graduate from this college. Yeah. We have 120 people in our program. To see those guys graduate year after year. Now we get to see them after that,
right,
when they graduate from the 4-year and get the jobs and families. That stuff is super rewarding. Hey, I can't remember our games 3 years ago, but I can remember guys from 30 years ago.
Right. Okay.
And that's, I think, the big difference between the two. So they know that. Those crazy buggers up there in those red outfits know that. They know that I'll remember them. And I hope they remember me too.
I think they will. And speaking of remembering you, you have to talk about Mrs. Coach, your wife Denise, who is actually out there right now trying to get the guys together for their team photo. So she is an integral part of this program, and probably has been, since you've been here and stuff too. So what does she mean to you? How does she keep you upright, keep you moving through camp and throughout the whole thing?
I think she keeps everything separated. I'm not really good at that. Everything blends together, and it's camp 24 hours a day, and she does a good job of that. And she's the meanest guy out there right now, right? So we're all out there, and she's the meanest one. She does a great job with it, and she has perspective on things because she's seen like 10 bowl games, and she's seen all those kind of things happen. So for her, these things have happened over and over and over again, so she's a great perspective. But you have to have somebody like that at home with you, because if you bring this stuff home, man, you won't have a home.
Exactly. Yeah, beautiful. I don't know if it's the shirt, but I think my arms look much bigger than yours today. So, tomorrow in the weight room, we will do a little extra bicep work.
2-6 for Big Mike. I know you're getting bigger anymore. Pretty soon we need a wire lens for you.
Thanks for joining us. Get over there with your team.
Right,
Best of luck this year. Great year. Coach Duda, the legend. That's a wrap on Football Media Day. We'll see you here at Scranton Memorial Stadium for 5 days starting September 3rd. Take flight, Falcons.